Alrighty, it is 6 o'clock. Call this meeting of the planning commission to order. Today is Thursday, March 19th, 2026, and the time is 6 p.m.
Make sure you use your microphone. So with these microphones, the way they instruct us to use them, you turn it on and then speak, and then when you're not speaking, click it back off. So with these microphones, there you go. Yep, you might get pull it a little closer to you and you'll be good to go. Yeah. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. That's real close.
Right. B42. I call this meeting of the planning commission to order. Today is Thursday, March 19th, 2026. The time is 6:01 p.m. Jenny, please call the roll.
Matt,
Here.
Steve,
Here.
Seth,
Here.
Mary, here, David.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from February 19th, 2026 planning commission meeting. If there are no changes, I will take a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Great, I get a second.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I'm gonna approve. You want to do this training session, dude?
Yeah.
Okay. Need to approve the minutes for the training session. So I'll take a motion for the approval of the training session.
I move that we approve the minutes of the training session from February 19th.
Alrighty, do I get a second?
I'll second it.
All, gosh. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, next item is continued discussion on storage and shipping containers.
Okay, I know some of you weren't here for the last meeting, but this is in the agenda. We have the draft of what we came up with for our last discussions from shipping containers. So we went through and made any changes that you guys recommended from the last meeting. Has everyone had a chance to read through it, and is there any questions you have or concerns?
One thing I just want to add, David, you had brought up the storage container definition and the shipping container definition. And then we talked a little bit about the confusion between the two and when we're talking about each. So we cleaned up the definition for each one, and then we make it a little bit more clear throughout when we're talking about each one. So when we're talking about both, it says shipping and storage container. When we're talking about one or the other, it says shipping container. When we're talking about storage, it says storage container. Shipping container, we're talking about the freight line, like the freight used type shipping containers. When we say storage container, we're talking about the moving pods. So we've done some things to kind of clean that up just a little bit. Mostly within the definition. So those have been improved upon. Under general, so section 50-550, we have A4. That's where we've added that they're not allowed to be stacked, tiered, or otherwise vertically combined, and that applies to shipping or storage containers, and that's all districts. We've also, I think that everything else in the general section stayed the same. Let me look at the one other.
On the stacking,
Yep.
if we have a rail hub, if we put it in a truck center or a shipping location and they wanted to use the rail hub, would they make special arrangements so they can stack them.
Yeah, we would have to.
We were going to break it up into zoning.
Oh, we
Like, it
did.
wouldn't be allowed in one zone, but like in your industrial or different ones.
Oh, it can be stacked in industrial. Okay, I think we might have misread our notes then. We thought that the consensus was all not to stack them in any of the zones. So we do want it stacked in, they can be stacked in industrial. Is
I
that
thought we
what-
said too high.
two of them? Is that what you guys all thought?
That's less than.
Same.
I wasn't here, but, you know. If to bring in trucking company that receives container to stack it pretty high. Get more stuff or
Might end up being a problem, if good staff, you got a freight company in there or something like that. You know, it's, I guess, he's on commercial anyway, or, industrial. You know, I guess, like, both of that.
my, what about, using them for, building purposes such as, these super fancy coffee shops that are going in and take the sea containers and they stack them and make their building. I mean, would we ever want to consider something like that in the future? Want it to be cool.
I think we talked about that last time, and it doesn't, it's not in our code, because we mentioned housing. And there was something about like, it's in our code that you can't use it for housing. So we'd have to update that, right?
It's not housing, it's business.
Is it in our
I think
code?
Blue Springs, there's several.
The only thing right now in the code is that you can't have shipping containers in R1. Like as an accessory structure.
Oh, does say that?
Yeah, but you guys are talking about like in Blue Springs, that like new burger place is completely made out of shipping containers.
Aren't you glad I'm back? So
Yep.
Yeah, that's what
Part of the definition, when does a shipping container become something else? Yeah.
Yep, that's a good point.
I also wondered, that would be its own separate code, because if they're not being used as storage, they're being used as a business, there would have to be business code, right? Because then they would be permanently affixed to the ground, and I thought that what we were talking about here, these aren't permanently affixed to the ground. So that's where I think the difference would come in, because these could be picked up and moved, where that would be kind of like smalls, it would be permanently fixed, windows cut out, electrical ran, plumbing ran, so I think we would have to look at different code for that.
So I guess this one here doesn't. I guess this one here doesn't fall under, like, if I wanted to take a overseas container, put it in my backyard,
Okay,
tie it
well,
down. and
isn't
do the workout.
Or other structures regulated as buildings under the city's building.
A little bit about like whether they're fixed or not. But that was my question too, like if I bought a shipping container, poured a concrete slab, put it on the concrete slab, and it bolts into the concrete slab. Could I do that? I think the answer was.
so it does in the definition for shipping container. So it says a standardized reusable metal container originally manufactured for the transportation of freight in international or domestic commerce by ship, rail, or truck, constructed primarily of steel and designed for stacking and intermodal handling. This term does not include cargo trailers, storage sheds, accessory buildings, or other structures regulated as buildings under the city's building code.
Is that different than what you had, or is that something?
Yeah, that's revised.
I don't remember reading that.
It is revised. Okay, so
This be a time when you guys actually don't know that to apply.
Yeah.
that Definition.
I'm thinking that. I don't know. Cause it's almost just at that point, it's just building material in the building code. So,
Well, I think we talked about it a little bit last time. So if we run electricity to that, it needs to be inspected.
mhm,
And has to have a building permit,
yeah,
which controls a lot of things. But I'm surprised that we didn't hear anything about the one shipping containers. I think I saw two of them when I drove around yesterday
mhm,
in the R1,
mhm.
Yeah.
so we're not really doing anything with it. Laws that are on the book now.
There isn't
Oh,
any.
I thought that was what it said.
What does it say in there currently?
Let me pull it up. I think it just says no shipping containers are allowed in R1, but let me get that correct.
Yeah, that's correct. Cause it's, well, it'd be complaint based too. So unless someone complains about it.
So are we saying non-residential, period?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Okay, well, let's come back to that.
Okay, it's under accessory structures, says, steel transportation containers are not permitted in any residential zone. So I guess that's not just R1, any residential. Well, that would be R1.
It's not permitted in residential at all, period.
Correct.
Right.
But this is updating it to just be R1.
No, it'd be all residential.
I thought this said the same.
This says shipping containers are prohibited as accessory structures in residential zoning districts. Okay, let's scoot down here to my version that they have.
So my understanding that we want to table this, do some more.
No. Whoa, pump the brakes. We'll keep going through the changes and then we'll come back with a revision to add accommodations for what you're saying,
Oh,
for building accommodations, yeah. But we'll still go through the other changes. Okay, so in the general standards, what we have in there is the stack, so we would want to so should we explicitly say that they can't be stacked in residential, can't be stacked in commercial, and then we'll say that they can be stacked in industrial in the revision, correct? Okay.
Should we have any kind of height requirement or stack maximum?
I think we said two, no more than two in industrial. So what we talked about last time.
So that's still, everybody's still. Five, six, high, I mean, yeah. I mean, a shipyard's been even higher than that, but, and like, city type deal, I know I've seen them in West Bottoms down there. 4 and 5 high.
It says on Google, they're generally 8 foot 6 inches tall.
That's one.
One container, yeah. So,
With this, I think we talked about it a little bit, this would include semi truck trailers.
no,
Got wheels on it in this portable, wouldn't it be? I mean, unless they, are you talking about truck connected to it or just sitting there?
No, to be used. To store stuff in, or whatever. I would think,
We don't go, I don't have to do it.
Do we want to put something in there that that
I would think.
tractor trailers would be
I would think
applicable?
that Something on. That's really hard to. Look at those regulations with rules and making sense out of it, to find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
How do you guys do it?
You guys do it.
Oh, okay.
Is that a common practice?
I think so. I think a lot of people store stuff in.
Like with the wheels on them still?
They take the wheels off.
Oh, they take the wheels off?
They can do it. Like, I've seen them use for storage, just sitting around.
Where?
Yeah, he's got,
Down here at the end, on the corner of eight. It's got a big semi thing in his, driveway, and then so he parks the big giant other thing in the street. That one, really got
And I just looked, I think the typical is 5 to 7 in shipyards. Like, but they go higher if they're empty.
That seems very high.
Yeah.
That seems concerningly high. On Main and 8th? Main and 8th.
I don't know, like businesses look for a semi trailer out there, but. A lot of semi trailers that I see are not intermodal. You know, they're using regular, Swift. Cargo trailer. But yeah, that's a problem sometimes, because. They sit there for years.
I think that's just an enclosed utility trailer.
A lot of times,
Hannah.
like, people up there, like, they have access to one, and like, say, grandma passes. And they
What do
load
they
all
call
their
that? Just
stuff
say
up, and then
enclosed
it's just
utility
parked
trailer?
there. It's like, oh, we'll get to it later, and years pass, and
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
still
think
sitting
we
there
can
full.
put them.
well, that's actually pretty dangerous also because your landing gear fail. And then all of a sudden now you got. Built the trailer or you got kids who go and play with the landing gear. Somebody's gonna get hurt. I think if they're gonna be stacked or stored. There needs to be something in there about. It's gotta be off the trailer. It's gotta be like an intermodal type off the trailer. That way it's. Ain't got. Issues like that.
Be a lot easier to include it in this. In the same paperwork.
Include, I'm sorry, I
It would
missed.
be a lot easier to have it say. Like,
Are you talking about for tractor trailers still? Yeah. Are you talking about tractor trailers still? Or are you talking about stacking?
No, I'm talking about tractor trailers.
Oh, you are? Okay.
But like what style of trailer are we talking about? 'Cause that's where it's gonna get,
Semi.
that's where it's gonna get all muddy because, you got,
Well, that's like what the one Hannah showed. That's just a enclosed utility trailer, which is different than what we're talking about.
so. I think the one you were talking about though, is just a regular, if it's the one I'm thinking about. It's the one right down there that,
that you can't see around.
yeah, it's just a regular, dry cargo. Trailer.
Mhm.
So that's where I was going with that, because she brought that up.
Okie dokie.
I feel like you could almost just write an addendum on there, just its own. Like, semi tractor trailer, they can't set for the same amount of time or something.
Yeah.
Let's be a residential.
I don't think so.
Pretty sure.
I don't think so.
It's the damage to utilities.
Well, yeah, I mean. At the ninety period, it gets hot, the asphalt gets hot. I've seen a bunch.
I think you can be ticketed for specific types of trucks parked on city streets.
They weren't.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know, dude. Up for me. X-Flex. Friend, he parks his truck and trailer there all the time. Accident.
Would be a good question for
Josh. Got that, right, I didn't see.
Yeah, there's a section of the code that says no vehicles larger than a pickup truck may be parked or left unattended on any street of the city between the hours of 7 PM and 6 AM daily. That's on the street.
That's changed a lot. Mine's a mid-size, yeah, my F-150 was quite large. Same.
That's on the books, it says, actually says it.
Yep.
There's all kinds of people park on the street.
Larger than a pickup truck.
Oh, larger than a pickup, that's my fault. Very good.
That was originated in 1998.
Like that needs to be updated next.
Okay. Anyway, moving on to agriculture districts. So this one, we kind of went back and forth from the consensus of the board. We did take out, we took out the part, let's see, we took out the last sentence structure there. So we took out two parts of that. So we removed 5 and then section C. So 5 said not to be used as commercial warehousing, contractor storage yards, or non-agricultural business operations. And we took out storage containers are prohibited on vacant agricultural parcels, not actively used for agricultural production, because under general, it says containers placed on vacant lots are prohibited unless associated with an active permitted construction project or removed upon completion of a project unless otherwise permitted by this chapter.
That's part of the problem with that, when we talked about that, is actually knowing when there's something going on and when there ain't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's just real be the kicker on that.
Any questions or concerns on that section? Are you sure about that?
Well. What he was saying about the active and non-active and things, I guess my thought is. They're not voting to agriculture. They're all what the farmers have.
But you're not, you're in Odessa city limits.
Well, yeah. Good. Yeah, see, this line was just smiling and quiet.
Just for reference, I think we use my piece of property as an example. I'm surrounded by farmlands on all 3 sides, so that's. I think that's where we talked about it a little bit.
Yep. If you're in the county, yes. Okay, so moving on to residential districts. So we simplified this one quite a bit. So this one just says shipping containers are prohibited as accessory structures in residential zoning districts. We originally had that storage containers can be permitted for the 45 days. We still have that section, but we moved it to the end where we have a section dedicated to temporary use permits because we felt like that was also a temporary use permit. And we also felt like the 45-day permit there could be a business that also needed to utilize moving pods, not just residential. So we felt like it would make sense for the moving pod permit to be applicable to anyone to be able to obtain one. So you'll find it now under temporary use permit, section 556.
I guess maybe I'm not understanding what you mean by accessory structures. They are prohibited, because I thought we weren't prohibited. Or is it saying that they are prohibited if they're attached to the ground? I'm very confused. By this one sentence.
For under residential districts?
The A.
Under A. Shipping storage containers are prohibited. No.
As as accessory structures is what's bothering you.
Oh, no, I was just confused by like the makeup of it, like. I just couldn't picture what it was talking about.
Oh, okay.
So if we set this, if we set this, all good to go here. What we do about what's already in system, it says it's not, what is it? It says it's not allowed.
Adopting this would cross that part out. It would repeal that and apply this, what's already in there.
Under the residential, are you going to put in there that people, that they're not grandfathered in if they're already existing and?
So that section is under 557 and that applies to the whole division.
Where have you seen 557?
It's 50-557.
Last month. This month.
Sorry? Yeah, your packet has the newest draft. Okay, so for commercial. That is a discrepancy though, because this says use as a accessory structure, this is accessory use. This is accessory use. Industrial use. I think you were right, Seth. That was a discrepancy under residential. Where it says shipping containers are prohibited as accessory structures. It should say use.
I think that's.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out, like, is this a building or is this like?
Yeah,
What are we talking about here?
all the other ones are set shall be permitted as accessory
Uses.
uses. Yeah, okay, so for commercial, we have they are permitted as accessory uses in commercial zoning. We have a quantity maximum of 2 containers per lot unless approved through an administrative site plan review. Placement must be located behind the principal structure when feasible, shall not be located within the required front yard setbacks. Minimum setback of 10 feet from any residential zoning district boundary. Screening, where a container is visible from adjacent residential property or public street, screening shall be required, which may include solid fencing, minimum of 6 feet in height, evergreen landscaping, or a combination of berm and landscaping. Oh, and then duration, shipping containers used for seasonal or overflow storage exceeding 90 days, consecutive days shall require administrative approval.
I didn't see anything in there about the stacking.
Yeah, I need to move that because I put it under general that no stacking is required, so I need to revise that and put stacking is allowed. I was gonna put 2 high if everyone's in agreement about that in industrial.
What are you gonna do if they got several lots? That's trying to be a double decker and not.
If they have several lots, they can put more than, they can do 2 per lot.
But I guarantee you get some big companies in there, you're gonna have a fuss over that, cause they're gonna wanna stack them things, cause they use them all the time. 2 and 3 high, I mean, I guess we could amend it to see what happens at that particular time.
Well, if you guys think they should be allowed to be stacked more than two high, then we can address it now.
Yeah,
I almost think that it would need to be permitted.
Well, I would think too high for a commercial district
Yeah, that's what it
is
is.
plenty good. We get a big shipping company in or a trucking company, they need to be in an industrial area anyway, so we should maybe.
So 2 highs permitted in commercial.
you just should be industrial, but you're talking about in that instead of commercial, if they can stack it more than 2, they have to change that.
That's my thought.
Yeah, that makes sense,
In
yeah.
industrial, we
Instead of
stack
commercial, be
higher.
industrial, yeah,
And we lay out how high we're allowed to stack
Yeah.
there,
that makes sense.
but for commercial, just.
2.
2, just, there's no need to go higher than that, if you gotta go higher than that, build a building.
Okay.
So how high do you think in industrial?
You don't wanna set a limit on it.
No limit?
Why?
Well, I mean, we don't really want to end up like a seaport shipping yard where we got them stacked crazy high. I mean, if we were to say, hey, you can go 4 or 5 high, something like that.
I will say we get complaints now with them stacked 1 high. I'll just say that. We
Yeah,
get,
but that's not in industrial.
no,
though,
on industrial lots, we get that. Just people don't like it.
I mean, we also have to remember too, that if we're putting this in industrial, we have industrial right over there.
You know, we have an industrial in the middle of Main Street.
So
So
they've
like,
got
I'm not
law.
talking about like industrial over there, like, yeah, we could literally put them. Cause then we just rezone right behind, or did we, was it commercial, I think, from nerds?
They went from industrial to commercial.
But see, that could have been. Area too.
Along the railroad tracks is industrial.
Along the road. Excuse me.
I-1 versus I-2? Cause your industrial in town is all I-1.
I1, 2, I2, 5.
I can get behind
Okay.
it. Cause I mean, the railroad over here, they got those 2 containers sitting out there. They gotta have them. Something like that, I mean, I know the mindset people complain.
So I mean, I kind of also get it too, because like, I don't want my nephew or kids running around and giant stacks like right here in the middle of town. But like, or if we were to get a big one right off this highway, like, cause I imagine that's where it was like, yeah, man.
Right.
Then
Well,
we-
like, maybe we need to say the same thing like we're saying in commercial with screening and,
It does say that.
oh, sorry.
Well, and it's, no, I think it's a part of the conversation. In industrial, it says for both industrial and commercial, it says that screening is required when adjacent to residential. Which I feel like is generally fair. But open to interpretation by you guys.
You say when it's next to residential, would we have a scenario where you'd have industrial next to residential, I guess?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, that'd be, yeah.
We do.
That's it, yeah.
That if we allow somebody to go into a industrial area and put a house, does that mean that that changes the industrial area?
No, we changed because you built it in industrial, you did put it in zone for R1, R2.
You're saying if industrial was there first, basically. I'm not really sure how that would
That
play out. I wouldn't quite be fair necessarily.
Well, if you build your house in an industrial zone, you better be prepared to have
Right.
industrial things happening around you.
Right,
Except what you got, yeah.
yeah,
Like, I mean, maybe we should put something in this code though, that if like. Something was zoned industrial and somebody wanted to build housing, if we agreed to build housing, that it should be. A rezone, that it should be on the person. Building the lot to put the fence up, not necessarily the industrial lot that was already there. that
yeah.
had it set.
That's definitely something for this group too. That's definitely in your wheelhouse. Maybe not for this ordinance specifically, but that's definitely, guys, you're in the right area for you guys, so.
Well, if we go back to the intent,
Which one?
if we go back to the intent,
Mm-hmm.
that gives us a little bit of guidance.
Yeah. So the purpose of this section is to regulate the placement and use of shipping containers and storage containers in a manner that allows reasonable business operations in commercial and industrial districts, protects adjacent residential neighborhoods from visual and operational impacts, establishes clear and objective standards for duration, placement, and screening, and provides administrative flexibility through temporary use permits. So are we still on too high for commercial, too high for I1, 5 high for I2?
Five high for what, I'm sorry.
I2, so like heavy industrial zoned, which would generally not be in town and be on the outside of town.
So if you're gonna allow too high in commercial, right now we have a maximum of 2 per lot. Are you wanting to increase that then if you're gonna allow them to stack?
Yeah, cause then they'd just be one on top of each other. That's your 2.
If you still stay with the chunk of two, maybe
Okay.
somebody doesn't have room to set up side by side, then they can stack, so.
Okay. And there's opportunity for an increase with administrative approval. Okay. So, any other changes in commercial necessary?
Evergreen landscape,
Okay,
what are we meaning by that? As far as, there's all different kinds of evergreen things you can do, somebody can put a little bush out there, but yet we're requiring them to have, if they go over a fence, 6 feet high. I could go put a little shrub out there and call that my evergreen screen.
That's typically what will happen.
Somebody would scream and be like, why? I had to put this, and so this guy thought of little evergreen bush and he's good.
Mhm.
I think in the intent of the sentence before that. Talks about screening shall be required.
Mhm.
And screen, one little bush isn't gonna screen a whole container.
Right.
No, but they can do a whole roll of short bush.
I mean,
So I
it
think
have
you
to
need
be
to
a whole
just
row.
say,
The
it's
intent
a
is that it
minimum
will
of 6
grow.
foot on any of those.
Yeah. Or do we just take out evergreen landscaping if we don't wanna wait for it to grow? Cause that's the point of it, is that you have,
It's not hard to get a 6 foot pop tree.
yeah, true. So we can put parentheses, evergreen landscaping, parentheses, minimum 6 feet in height. Maybe more costly than a fence, I don't know.
Give them options.
And should we say that minimum 6 feet of height needs to be at inception of the planting of them, so they can't say, oh, I bought this and in 10 years, it's gonna be 6 foot.
We can do that.
And one more question about commercial, do we need to add anything about setback? Like cannot block driving views or anything? Like if we're allowing them to stack too high here, like does there need to be any wording about like, you can't do it if it's gonna, you know, blind spots or, you know, kind of like there's a hill. You know, they put them right here and you're trying to see around that hill.
There's setbacks that aren't there. But
Yeah, and well, it says you can have, for whenever, the 10 feet from residential zones, and then shall not be located within the required front yard setback. Yeah, that's true.
Is it kind of a conflict when you go down into the industrial district that it's 25 foot setback? With shared property owner?
Yeah, for industrial. It also says in the general section that it can't be placed in, can't obstruct fire lanes, drive aisles, parking spaces, access points, utilities, drainage patterns, or required setbacks. So right there, it says you can't put it in any setbacks at all, period.
I think there isn't a setback procedure, is there?
Mm-mm.
So they can put it right there and cause.
We could just put in the all districts in that same obstruct, where you can't obstruct anything, we can add like something that says something about like driving lines of sight or something like that.
I think we probably almost have to give a footage from center line of the road. So that you could actually do a measurable, cause like, you're gonna have somebody sit there and say, oh, well, I can see around it. Well, yeah, if I pull out in the middle of the street, I can see it. But if
Yeah.
we do a, hey, you need to be center line of the road or edge of road, whatever, however you wanna say it, you gotta be X amount of feet from that.
We can research what language is best to put there. I was gonna say that, that was what I was thinking. Okay,
See what they prefer, cause I feel like they would get the complaints and see enough accidents, so
mm-hmm.
they would just be like, oh yeah, that's gonna cause an accident, it's right there.
Just ask the Googles.
Usually you use ChatGPT.
I do too, I work for Google.
So on the one that says shall, I'm just thinking off the cuff here a little bit, but we say shall not be located within required front yard setbacks. I almost feel like it should say shall not be in the front yard at all. Just a thought. Sometimes it's harder to see what the front is on a business, but
I also think about where the old bar was down there, I don't know, what was it called? They turned it into a business, the outdoor patio. Yeah, Raider Shakes. Which side is the front of that building?
mhm.
Cause I couldn't tell you if there's, I think parking on both sides now, so.
Okay, maybe not. Never mind.
Front of your buildings. Whatever your address is, like, whatever. Street your address is, that is.
Yeah.
The front of the building, so if you say something like that, all right. That's the front of your building.
No, I agree. I just think I use that building just because there's roads that run on both sides of it. So like it could create a blind spot on either side. You know.
Okay.
With commercial, we get tricky because like they don't a lot of times have backyards or back areas that put stuff,
Mhm.
so they would have to set it right there. Yeah.
But when you're talking about, the setback that they were talking about, you can't build a building past that point anyway, right? Or you can build a building up to that point.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's the same thing as a building being there. It's-
Mhm.
It still limits it how far it can be out there.
Yeah.
Well, whenever if you build an addition anywhere near commercial, you're gonna have to put a buffer in there with duplexes and stuff like that. You can't just gonna put house stuff in there. Don't we have to have a buffer in there, or duplexes or something? You just can't start building houses.
On residential you do, but a lot of commercial you don't have to. There's no setbacks. In our code, which is probably something we need to look at.
Yeah, duplex stuff, you'd be a little more, not quite so much, just 25, yeah.
Well, and back to our cumulative zoning, that's one of the problems that we see is that we have a lot of commercial zoned lots that people are building residential on. They're specifically building multifamily on. So our commercially zoned lots are dwindling. We're losing them to residential, to multifamily. But when you build multifamily on that commercially zoned lot, you're able to build it to the commercially zoned rules. So now you can build a multifamily building that has no green space, no yard for the multitude of families that live in that space.
I still think that should have been made where whatever you're using it for, that's the zoning it goes under.
I
It
agree.
could be a commercial lot, but if you're doing R3, it's R3 zone.
I agree. I agree.
Next meeting.
I agree. We have a lot of work to do. I agree. But that's what's happening.
Guess it's just ignorance of law. If I put in if I do something that doesn't require a building permit, how do I get this information? What do I go, I don't have. If we don't ask them to have a building permit, how are they gonna find out what their setbacks are? Or we wait till we put it in and then tell them they have to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just asking what.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's.
Well, it depends on what the scenario is for this. I mean, we've been doing a lot of website improvements where we put more information on our website. So we can hope that they do the research. It'll obviously be in our code, which is on our website and available on the internet. It's just kind of, you have to do that due diligence as a business owner or property owner before you make those decisions.
I think you really good one, yeah. You didn't tell us the question to ask. You think somebody would ask that question, yeah.
Mhm.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, any other changes for commercial? We still have parking to get to. All right, moving on to industrial. And the same screening requirements from commercial apply to industrial.
I would say with the exception of I-2 where we're stacked higher,
Mm-hmm.
we need to have a higher fence.
True.
Yeah, and that's cover both of them up, Matt, you couldn't see them.
No, I'm more thinking, I'm not worried about the view in industrial because industrial is industrial.
Yeah.
I'm more thinking of kids hopping a 6-foot fence and getting in there. But maybe
Our
that,
fence
I
requirements
guess
just
what's
say
the
3 foot
businesses
high.
probably bigger fence around their property anyway.
And I think to keep these out of it, people get in or think that's so, yes.
Maybe I'm just overthinking that.
I don't know that I mean, every industrial is gonna be a little different, like industrial we have now doesn't necessarily have a fence. So. Or, I don't know.
I mean, you'd be setting a precedence, it couldn't be made to put the fence up for the other, yeah, that's not, think about it, yeah.
One of the things I was thinking about for section B. So it's saying containers shall maintain a minimum 25-foot setback. When it abuts, residential zoning and the screening requirements, which would be the fence or the evergreens. So should that be an and or an or? 20 or 25 feet away from residential and a fence, or 25 feet or a fence?
And if I was an industrial owner, I would wanna use all the space I could. I wouldn't really want to have 25-foot setback.
Like you're saying you'd rather have the fence and then utilize the,
Got a piece of property and you're wanting to do a whole bunch of storage on there for your, whatever. You're gonna lose a lot of area.
What's the building setback?
for industrial. Let me see.
Well, we got regulations on the building setback, whatever it have to be, don't we? Even somewhere, yeah. The actual building.
Oh,
Like most of the time when I see these,
it's 25 feet,
most of the time when I see these.
25.
25.
So doesn't matter.
So is that,
It's irrelevant.
is that kind of, well, A2? Where we, not to encroach on required setbacks,
Mhm.
is that the same thing or?
Yep. It is.
So which one do you want to mark off?
I mean, I think we're drilling that, we're really hammering that in. It's also in the general section.
Well, and I-2 is different, no specific front or side yard. So
Hmm.
25 feet was I-1.
Oh, I-2 is different than I-1. So we might need it in there.
So since we're breaking out I-1 and I-2 with how many you can stack, we need to break out the rules.
So I-1, there are setbacks. I-2, there are no setbacks. No front yard or side yard setbacks in I-2. Rear yard. No. No setbacks for I-1 or I-2.
Those things think that's much. I 125, I 2 no. And that takes care of the. Cause we said I 1 could only have 2. And then that way we would have a bigger like activity we provide with 0 setbacks with the fence.
Are you talking about R1? Is that what you said?
I1.
I1? Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, say that again, Seth.
Okay, so we would just make this code match, so. I1 would be the 25 feet setbacks, I2 no setbacks with the fence. Or I2, no, that's it, you're right. Okay.
He said I wanted that too.
Oh,
You got it, Rick.
Perfect.
But then like with the fence portion where we left, because it says here screening consistent with the commercial, we're allowing evergreens in the commercial, so having 5 stacks and some evergreens out there.
I feel like you would almost have to do a 10-foot fence or something.
It needs to be,
Or
something a little more robust.
Yes. I mean, whether that's a 10-foot, I don't know if necessarily it calls for a panel, but like a fence of some sort. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean. Now, up here it says, solid fencing.
That's 6 foot.
Right. But it says, solid fencing. But even to that point, of like what you're saying, you can get 6-foot chain link and put the screening on there. Or the plastic strips that go in, and that right there, so. I should have brought that up earlier, I'm sorry, but.
So we need a stronger definition of solid fencing or,
Or options, I guess, because I guess. If you think solid fencing, to me, it's either like you're gonna have corrugated or you're gonna have a wood fence or something like that, but. The whole point of that line right there is screening, so it's not seen. I can do the same thing with a chain link fence of 6 foot and privacy screen.
Yeah, put a solid fence if you couldn't put a chain link fence in. You'd have to be, yeah, you're right, you'd have to be a solid fence, yeah, that's true.
so does solid fence not say that then?
No, I feel like what we're getting at is like a chain link fence with a screen would almost work. I
I
think,
think we have some of that. I think Advance has that behind their main building. I think it's got the.
So if you just Google what counts as solid fencing, it says defined as a barrier constructed from substantial materials such as wood, metal, vinyl, or concrete that obscures visibility and typically has less than 30 to 40% open space. These fences are designed for privacy, security, and noise reduction, often featuring tight-fitted panels, boards, or sheets.
And I just keep thinking. What is a lawyer gonna say? When we go to enforce something, or the city goes to enforce something, they're like, well, your thing right here just says, blah, 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 and I put up this. Again, I'm probably overthinking it, and I apologize, but.
no, I don't think you are at all.
Mm-mm.
Cause I agree with you, like, I think. Cause by that definition, chain link fence doesn't.
Yeah, even with the screening.
So like we would have to specifically word it. That somebody could come in and say, well, I don't want to build there because I don't want to put a giant wood fence around my whole property that cost me a ton,
Kind of the standard in an industrial and most commercial places anymore is some type of a chain link
Mm-hmm.
due to costs.
Well, and we don't want to, in all fairness, like we don't want to, like, I don't know who just said that, but yeah, I don't want to bring my business there because I don't want to have to build a solid fence that's going to cost me 50 grand.
We're trying to bring in business, make Odessa more, likable to people, not keep people from wanting to come here.
So I mean, I feel like a solution would potentially be added amendment or addendum or whatever to be like, you can do a chain link fence with the screen or whatever. I don't know, it's all just
We
natural.
run lines with that plastic vinyl, put it like that, we close it up something.
I mean,
You have to have
we just-
something, I
I
think.
think we just define number one. Right there, under the commercial. Seems how we are under B2 of the industrial. You know, C, take a look above, and that's your deal. If we just define that a little more. And explain what we're meaning by it. Instead of just saying solid fence, it must be, you know, constructed in these ways or whatever, these are your options. You could use the chain link with the mesh screen, or you could use chain link with the vinyl insert, that kind of thing.
We can do that.
And I do think we need to add like a 10-foot high fence on industrial.
On the
I too.
I do, yeah.
Well, you can add the definition of solid fencing in with in your general standards, just like we define shipping containers and everything.
Yeah, that's
And
probably what
the
we'll
time it's
do.
Gonna come in play is if you have a residential next to the industrial,
Mhm.
which most of the time you're not gonna have residential surrounding all four sides or three sides, or it's
Sure.
probably only gonna be one side most of the time.
True.
So that's the only time they have to worry about it, which, you know, if that's the requirement, that's the requirement for you to build there.
True. That's a good point. Okay. So I think the only thing I'm a little. Do we, basically for I2, are we wanting the setback to be further than what the setback is in the zoning? Are you comfortable with 0 setbacks for I2?
I agree with you with the 0 setbacks.
I think 0 setbacks, as long as it, like, if we're talking like what you and I were talking about, with, I've been talking about like towards the fence, I'm fine with 0 setbacks. But if it's front at a road, then like, you know, if it's the front of the business, then there should be a setback. But if it's like in the fenced area and it's not blocking any view, then I'm fine with 0 setbacks.
I mean, take the insurance place up here that does all the cars. Let's say they go out of business and then we get a trucking company up there. They could run no shipping containers all the way up to the fence that surrounds it. That's kind of my thought. That gives you the most area that you can feasibly use for your business.
I agree with you, yeah.
I
Okay.
can see that. The only problem is if it's next to residential. And you want to see 3 cargo containers, like out your backyard. I mean, right up against where the fence is.
No, I mean, I hear you, but then it kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier. If you're gonna build next to an industrial, you're gonna have to deal with industrial things.
So what you're saying, you have the setback, and then you can put the container right back up against the fence on the inside. Like that would, so you're thinking to be another setback behind the fence, something you're gonna.
Well, that's what we were talking about in I-1, we're talking about it 25 feet back from that fence.
And a fence, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and so, but within, in I-2, we were gonna do that, I thought it,
Well, right now it says,
right now, it
Both.
says that, right.
says both.
So I can see if I go to buy a house or build a house. And there's 3 containers sitting there, I'm not gonna buy that piece of property probably. You know, unless it is set back, then you don't see it as much.
Yeah.
I mean, but then you kind of get to the same thing like at the airport where people were complaining about the planes flying over them. Right, you knew you were next to an airport and you're gonna have planes. I mean, I'm sorry that you. I don't know.
Well, something else that we have to look at is, was it last month that we changed? Or that property was brought into the city limits, changed
Yeah.
to residential.
Yes.
on the north side of I-70.
Back when
What happens if we say we're gonna bring this next piece of property in, it's gonna be industrial?
I brought that question up. And that's where you gotta have the duplexes and stuff, don't you? You can't just have the setback on the industrial and houses. You have to build the, you know, what I mean, just like it's the county. What if, because the county can do anything they want to do, basically, we can't make them do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So what would we do up against the county lines? We automatically have to put a set, you know, duplexes or something to insulate before you get into the houses? Is that what we'd have to do or something like that? Exactly what Steve said.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would just be scenario based. We'd have to kind of,
We change the laws then,
I guess,
if we, you know, where that zone R1,
yeah,
if the next piece of property is put in as industrial,
yeah.
what do we, how, is there a buffer there or?
Yes.
Yeah, you'd have to, yeah.
Is that what we're talking about? a buffer?
Yes, there would have to be a buffer, yes. And I think that would be really where that, well, we could, if it was commercial, we could use that commercial residential transition overlay district. If it's industrial, I don't think that, because there is no industrial over there, I don't think that that would be a decision that this board or this commission would do. Because there isn't industrial over there. And that, but commercial would be likely because there is commercial over there. And then we have that transition opportunity that we can use to make sure that there is some buffer between residential and commercial. If needed.
The 25-foot setback may be a moot point in the fact that they have to have some way to get to those cargo containers. And so they can have the road there by the fence in order to get to those. Otherwise, they have to have a road on the other side of it. You've got to have some way to reach in there with forklift and get those. So they're gonna have, if you're gonna pick one up and turn it sideways and it's a 40-footer, you gotta have more than 25 feet. So I don't know that it's really a problem with the 25-foot setback.
I mean, if they're stacking them 5 high, they're gonna have something bigger than that. Those ones that actually drive over the top, drop it down and clamp, pick up. Yeah.
Just like it is the shipping yards.
Yeah, they build it, yeah, I agree.
Okay.
If they're that busy, you might make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
So at that point, I think if we just say do not encroach on required setbacks, we'll probably be fine.
But there are no setbacks on it, dude.
Right, exactly.
So
Yeah, so that kind of says,
do what you want.
yeah, look here, there's no setbacks, so you're good. If you're in a commercial area and you gotta have these setbacks, you look and you say, okay, I gotta have these setbacks, this rule says I gotta. do
I
that.
just don't know that there's gonna be scenario where if we're doing our jobs right, there shouldn't be I-2 next to residential. Okay. We have the transition overlay district. So this says shipping containers shall not be placed between a principal building and a residentially zoned property. That's when you have commercial. Actually, that should just say commercial transition overlay, not industrial. Enhanced screening shall be required when visible from residential districts. This really, we've already hit on this, really, I don't know that it's 100% needed. Additional buffering requirements may be imposed during site plan review to mitigate visual impacts, so. Yeah. And then we have the temporary use permit. This is for construction projects, seasonal inventory, emergency situations, and then we have the storage containers. And the temporary use permit for storage containers, which would be applicable to industrial, commercial or residential. And then we have the existing containers, that this kind of does talks to the grandfather clause to, basically give anyone who has containers now the 180 days to, rectify any current containers that they have.
If there's nothing grandfathered in, we can take a move in 180 days.
Yeah, and they can get a 90-day extension if needed.
And just to make sure I'm reading this right, someone doesn't have to get a permit to get a pod put at their house? Because it says a temporary permit,
I mean, like when they move into this, put your driveway,
yeah,
and you're gonna move and load it.
or do they have to go to the city and get a permit for that?
It would be a temporary use permit.
So do they have to pay for that?
Do you want them to pay for a permit?
Maybe
Okay,
not.
then no, they do not.
Okay, perfect. That's what I'm just trying to make sure, because like, if I moved, I wouldn't wanna pay for it. But I don't want it to be worded in here where the city at some point could be like, hey, you're moving, I need that $20 permit for that pod in your driveway, and you're like, I just paid $120 for that pod.
Mhm.
So, yeah, no payment.
Well, then you could afford 30.
Yeah, right. So, that was just my concern.
That's fine. We're good with that. Okay, any questions? We'll revise it again, bring you another draft, and then we'll check that draft, and then we'll bring another version to you with public hearings.
One thing, can we get into a little bit and see how this would affect advanced industries? They have a lot of, a couple different locations,
Yes, I've been thinking,
trying to figure out. Is it, I don't have anything to do with advanced, but I'd hate to, they're a pretty good employer in town,
we've been doing that.
okay? Keeps out trouble.
Yep.
One other thing that, just to give you a hard time. Duration, I
Mhm.
think that was. How do we address? Duration, are they? Would we just avoid it?
That is.
Yeah, on the intent, standards. Establish clear objective standards. Placed in the green. And administrative, flexibility. Just see somebody down at City Hall.
Actually,
Talk to your neighbor, the alderman.
that does actually bring up a really good point of that, the temporary storage container permit may be issued. I feel like that needs to be reworded as well, because
Which-
it does sound like you need a permit there, and we was talking about not a fee, but like,
Where are you at?
I jumped back there to the temporary use permit.
Yeah.
For the one, for like the moving one, I feel like that needs to be reworded, because I feel like it does apply that, like, I need to call her to be like, hey. I know I'm moving in 20 days, but. you know,
Yeah, maybe we don't.
it's worded very weird, like I have to have a permit, or I have to notify the city that I. Have this storage unit. Or this pod on my property. I think that works a lot weird.
Yeah, you talk about a pot or some trucking company like ABF, Arkansas Best Freight, rents out them short, but they pull in doubles, they take one of them, park in your driveway and let you use that like a pod, so I don't. From be nice like a pod, only just a short tractor trailer, trailer, they park that and you load that and they'll haul it for you, just like the pod you're talking about. Guess you get a permit for that, doesn't.
Well, with the temporary storage containers, I think the intent was that you would notify us when you have a
You have
temporary,
to let you know, or ask the city or something, okay.
so we know that it's there for 45 days and not,
Question is. How do we enforce it? Because the problem is we're putting it into code, and there's no,
welcome to city
I
government.
know, that's all I'm just saying, like, policy. so it's a policy,
Oh, wait.
but like, if there's no punishment for it,
Oh, I see.
you know, like, and we're not saying you have to take out a permit for it, but we have to notify someone for it. Then it's a viewpoint of, I don't have to do this because there's no retaliation if I don't.
In case one of your neighbors drives up too, so you had to go to the city out. That's what we better do this time.
But then it's like, oh, I've only had that out there since yesterday. You know, like who's gonna prove that it's been out there for 6 months, you know?
Yeah, hired girl, flat,
Yeah,
operating doorbell.
oh, right. So, just a thought.
I mean, do you guys think it's necessary to contact the city prior to?
Yeah, something like that, yeah, just tell them, boy, you guys say this is what I'd like to do, and I'm thinking, yeah.
Or temporary.
Yeah. Exactly.
But if it's just a phone call and not a permit, then there's no record to
Yeah.
show when we actually had that
It's necessary
conversation.
for you to do that. I mean, you're paying for that, so
Yeah,
you're not gonna sit there forever.
Yeah, that's why,
That's
true,
expensive.
you're right. You need to rent.
yeah.
Get that close to right, it'll be there long.
And one more thing, you're gonna have to.
It's kind of like dumpsters. We don't have permits on dumpsters.
But like at this point, you know, maybe one of them little pup trailers. You can buy those. And now you just park it in your driveway. And it's still marked ABF, we move you.
True.
Wheels on it too.
Like you could buy like,
At the wheels.
Right.
but like you
that's
could
the-
buy like you could purchase one that's like, they've been having them rented out.
I see that some Souths usually don't have wheels, do they?
Mm-mm.
They something that's. lifted
Oh,
on
yeah,
the
like
track.
those pod things, but I mean,
But you could purchase a pod and now you own the pod forever on end. And that wouldn't be allowed.
to his point, and something we kind of didn't allow in here, but I feel like maybe we need to have this conversation. My dad's moving from my hometown to Florida. They're bringing a semi truck and parking it in front of his house. Movers are gonna move the semi truck, move that to Florida, and then someone will unload it, but that will be there over.
You should probably
Yes.
contact the city just in case to be safe.
Yeah. Like, we don't allow that, so I feel like we also need to put something in there, and then that would be a problem. Like, if you're going to have a semi to move you. Kind of like in the ABF, little pup trailer, I feel like that would be a permanent overall.
if it's a park on street.
Yeah.
Probably in your pop scenario. These guys are gonna park it right at the street, you know, right next to the curb. These guys are gonna go in and out the front door, load it. And be gone.
And I just know in this situation, if you're putting it in your driveway, then that would be a permittable as opposed to a pod or as opposed to. Wheels. This, I think, maybe the solution there, because then there would be a punishment. I had to pay the permit, have it there. And then that starts your countdown time. And then. That gives code the ability to drive by and be like, oh, 46 days, it's still. You know,
Maybe, I guess I'm just trying to get away, like, what you said. Somebody buying. One of them wooden pods that they lift up with their little.
But I think that's our intent behind this. The maximum duration of a temporary storage container was 45 days. So you cannot permanently have a temporary storage container beyond 45 days at all.
Wait, the bond is not 45 days, that'd be.
Well, that's what we're.
Right.
Wondering is, how do you start that clock?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because if we put it in this code and it's never been that way. How do we inform the city, the citizens? That if you have this, you have to call City Hall
Mm-hmm.
to alert them.
Could you, now the important, I can't, maybe I have a little ticket, say, hey, you need a permit for this before you do this or something like that, I guess, I don't know, I guess.
Well, and
might be-
that's the other thing, and we're not gonna like, day one, this goes live, here's your ticket, here's your ticket. Like, there'll be an educational the likelihood of getting a ticket for this is nil. It'll be,
But are we
hey,
going to fine? So,
go
like,
get
that's
your
the question.
ticket
Is that
or
fine?
go get your permit.
You know, like if
I
it's
see what-
over, if it's over 45 days, are we saying there's a fine for it, or is there no fine?
Yep, I know. I agree with what you're saying. Yep.
Yeah, cause it's like, we're saying, I think we're all on the same page, we don't want stuff there longer than it needs to be. But if we don't make someone do a permit. Then how do we start the fine?
In order for there to be a repercussion, there has to be a fine amount.
So like, and then if we, you're over there 45 days, then what's the, like, we come take your fine and go like, oh, no, that's not important, you know?
We don't want to do that.
Oh, no, that was not a joke, I was trying.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll look that up. We'll probably get with OPD and see what the best course of action is. Okay. And then I will also, come up with some language on semi tractor trailers used for storage specifically. And, shipping containers used for building material.
When we get on that, I got a question I'd like to ask the bank. Easy question.
And should we also put something in here that no livestock can be stored?
They shouldn't be there.
Yeah, in the shipping containers. I've been saying, I mean, I think it's a valid question.
If the bed, you got refrigeration, that's. I don't know.
I mean, why not?
I mean, better if
From a farm.
yeah, like for chickens or something.
If it's on a farm.
Oh, like using a shipping container for a chicken coop?
If it's on an agriculture piece of land, that's storage for agriculture.
You have chicken coops, you have chickens in town. Your chicken coop cannot be bigger than 4x6.
True.
There are specifications, so you couldn't.
But there are pods that are smaller than that, but I'm just saying, I feel like we should just put something like no live animals can be stored. And these on your property. Be safe and
Valuable.
sorry. You know,
I mean, that's the whole point though, is you can use these shipping containers for like anything.
better be safe than plus. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on.
I have a question.
Oh yeah, ask your
Okay.
question.
I know, Bill Hunt shoots down on it. You know, we had 63 acres out there that we've done, residential on.
Mhm.
When he turns in that, permit, first thing we gotta go through and all that, we have any say the size of the house has to be big or little, nothing, 9, period.
I can put tiny home out there if you want.
Well,
Well,
if you're on Friday, I built 3 or 4 of them little baby.
And we have a
I wouldn't
lot-
build a whole addition like that.
We have a lot size, we have a minimum lot size requirement, which I think is like eight.
It's based on the size of the lot. So within R1, there is R1A through E, I believe. And that's based on the size of the lot, so
But the minimum a lot can be in Odessa is like
8,400 square.
8,400 square feet.
Man, okay.
That's the bare minimum.
Very good. That answers the question. Thank you. Very good. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
moving on. This one's also a big topic that'll probably take us a very long time.
So next up is parking and driveways. We have frequent questions and also a lot of variants related to parking, so we thought it would be a good issue to talk about. I know in the past, I think some members had concerns before I was here about the number of parking spaces allowed on properties. You know, that has come up in the past.
Particularly that. Because how's enforcement doing? You're gonna have more, they still doing 50/50, doing inspection one way and enforcement on something else. As far as having a person do it, if we find something wrong, we're gonna go out and. Last time you said they have to split the time, they're doing half.
Yeah,
and one
animal control and code enforcement, 50/50. Yeah, we still have it like that.
day. Okay.
Thinking of both these things, where to at?
They do wear two hats.
So what I've done here, I went through a couple towns here, Blue Springs, Green Valley, Higginsville, Lexington, and Oak Grove. And in your packet there is kind of a spreadsheet of what we allow versus what they allow as far as parking spaces. We've had a lot of concerns lately with permits, people asking about materials used for driveways. That comes up frequently. We really have no restrictions now as far as coverage of a driveway, so someone can literally, their entire front yard could be a driveway. The only restriction we have is the ingress and egress cannot exceed 25 feet in width. So once you have your driveway, then you can go out literally as far as you want. And then another frequent variance we have with the Board of Adjustment is commercial parking spaces. Right now, if it's not a classified commercial property, then it's one space for 150 square feet. So some of these larger buildings, that's a lot more than they need. So that's something we wanted to look at as well.
If the driveway's in the house, is concrete, and they just go a gravel driveway and make it another driveway, or they have to make it concrete.
Right now, we do not allow gravel driveways unless that's been grandfathered in.
There's some people, well, they just got a driveway here, and they've been perpendicular. Put a bunch of gravel in there, they park 3 or 4 cars in the gravel.
Right.
That's the driveway, ain't it?
They would do that without a permit. That's not
So what's the
permitted.
consequence? So they just do it, they get away with it, and that's okay?
I
I ain't
mean-
trying to be a jerk, but I mean, that's pretty much it, ain't it?
I mean, they would, yeah, yes. I mean, they could technically get fined for it and have to go to court and have to do all the things, but they're not doing it right. They're not following the code.
So I had to put a ground driveway.
The implications could be very drastic by not doing it correctly, but people choose to take that risk.
So other than if somebody drives it, there's really no consequences to it, there's no fine, and nothing, you can't make them do it.
There are consequences to it.
I mean, other
if
than
you-
you know, hurt your property value or something like that, you got some Mickey Mouse looking deal.
I mean, you could end up in court and have to pay fines as the consequence.
Or it didn't make change.
Yes, we can.
Well, don't you have to bring it up to code?
Hmm.
Right.
If code would even exist or something like that, you could do that in the code. Your driveway is gonna have, straight shot in and so wide, like that, but you can't go perpendicular to it for more like that, I would not think.
You can. That's what Jenny was just saying. The only width restriction on driveways right now is that the ingress and egress is 25 feet wide. But you could go, there's no general width restriction on driveways. So it doesn't say
Front yard.
the driveway width restriction is 25 feet. It says the ingress and egress restriction is 25 feet.
Do you see a lot of problems from?
No, we do not see. We have been seeing like in some of the new builds where it's like, we have been seeing where they've been, they have been doing that, utilizing that and,
Especially the ones on Johnson Drive because there's no parking on that street.
Right.
So they need the extra.
need the extra
I can
driveway.
understand if you had another actual parking space beside what you had, you mean the kids come home, get 16 or something, you need the extra, that's one thing.
Right.
When you turn it actually anyway, okay. that's fine.
I don't necessarily think it's a problem. I think it's a better opportunity, but, I think it prevents people from parking on the street.
Oh, that ain't
But
bad.
in reality, you could literally pave your entire front yard, technically.
Yeah. Front yard. Okay, we talk about that, I guess.
You wouldn't have to mow.
You
I
wouldn't.
didn't- That's the main agreement.
Give me money to lay down that much concrete.
You know, that concrete down, there you go.
I know one of the items that really started this whole conversation was we were talking about, this group was talking about Pine Creek and how the Pine Creek multifamily has, each unit has one garage. and they're required to have 2 parking spaces per unit. And so the garage counts as 1 unit and the drive or 1 spot, and then the driveway counts as the second spot. So when they're back to back like that, one person ends up parking on the street. So the person in the garage can get in and out, which creates in a multifamily where it's 4-plex townhomes, 6-plex, I don't even know how many plexes there are in those townhomes, but a lot. That creates a lot of people parking on the street. And then you have an abundance of street parking.
One way Oak Grove. Fixed that and the division that I lived over there, we had that same thing. You had your garage and you had your driveway. And then they came in and put no parking on the street signs. And they would be on you about it. You have your 2 parking spots and no parking on this side of the street, you park on that side of the street. That way you can still get fire trucks and all that stuff down there, because they were blocking up the whole street.
What's the solution?
So for our code, let's just talk about that one first. So for our code, it says 2 garage parking spaces for each unit for single family. And then for duplexes, it says 2 parking spaces for each unit. Multifamily, 2 parking spaces for each unit. It does not say 2 garage parking spaces. What the other city that we saw that did directly call that out was Lexington. They have for duplex and multifamily, they have 2 per dwelling exclusive of garage interior space. So they say 2 per unit, not counting your garage.
And that's where that conversation started, because of the Johnson Drive, people parking on the street. With there only be 1 parking spot in the yard or on the driveway, and then the second one being counted as the garage. Most people are using the garage as storage.
Oak Grove says for duplexes, 2 exterior per dwelling unit for duplexes.
And then in the inner side to side.
It doesn't matter, just 2 exterior, so 2 not including garages. And then for multifamily, this looks a little complicated, but it says 1.25 per efficiency unit, 1.5 per 1 bedroom, 2 per 2+ bedroom, all exterior. That's multifamily in Oak Grove. So there's a few ways to slice and dice it, but it seems to me from the first conversation we had about this was that we don't want to include, for multifamily specifically, we don't want to include garages as a parking requirement for the 2 unit requirement.
You're gonna got your cost too. You're gonna make your cost go up. You had to put garages for everyone. Yeah, that'd be a lot more.
Or you don't put garages in.
So we're looking at new construction.
Yes, it would be, this would apply to new construction.
That's just multifamily, not single family. 'Cause I think
Well,
with
currently, single family in Odessa says 2 garage parking spaces for each unit. So you could, in Odessa, you would have to build a 2-car garage.
that, when did that get added? Cause that's not how they've been building. Cause there's a new house, those new little houses
That's true.
are not 2 garages.
That's a good point.
That's where this conversation started at, is these new houses that are being put up are 1 garage, 1 parking spot.
That is a good point.
So that's where we started the conversation, because the code was,
The ones on Dryden,
well, Dryden and right there by the nursing home.
those are
Those
single
are
family.
single.
Yeah, because that builder's been popping left and right. Now, I have noticed that some of them do have, like, the driveway has gotten wider on some of them,
That's what we were talking about, the ones on Johnson.
but, and I think the conversation was really like, they need to at least have 2 off-street parking spots, not including the garage. But, I mean, if it's 2 Cause like that's the debate, like, could someone do like the beat out?
Where does it say that, Jenny, in our code?
Like my house,
The garage parking spaces
Yeah.
under R one.
just had a really long, single car, wide driveway.
Yeah.
But it's 100 and some feet long.
Not our mistake.
I have a 2-car garage outbuilding that was built, who knows when, way after the original house. So what we're saying, I guess if I'm following this right, is your house, right now, if you went and built a house, you're required to have a 2-car garage with that house.
Yeah, and we've clearly missed that in previous recent new builds. City staff have.
You have side and side of the house too, I mean, you have that setback on each side of your neighbor, because you can make the house a lot longer. Something else too, so every house now would have to have at least 2 driveways and 2 garages. Is that what you're saying?
Well, 2 garages and it's just saying 2 garage parking.
And 2
spaces.
car, or 1 garage big enough for 2 cars?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
do that, okay, that would be,
Yes.
do that. You know.
But I guess that's let's talk single family first. Do we want it to say 2 garage parking spaces for each unit?
Same.
Or just 2 parking spaces for each unit?
Right, 1 garage.
Exclusive of the garage, 2 parking. That sounds like that's probably what we wanted to say across the board.
Yeah, I don't think a garage should count as a parking spot, just because most people don't use their garages for that, and with the way cost is going, people are needing extra space, people are living in garages, things like that, anyways, that's a whole other.
Storage and.
Yeah, but like. Then it should just be kind of like some houses that have been built without garages, like you should just have to be required to have 2 parking spots in your. For your building,
I don't know whether it's this way or this way, but like, mine is this way.
yeah, so like.
I can get 5 cars in my deal, but it's this way.
Yeah.
You know, now granted, everybody has to drive through my side yard to get out in the morning, and
Yeah.
my daughter's parked in front of me, but you know, I'm good, she doesn't get out. Whatever.
What's the ruling on parking in the street? Or is there?
It just depends by the street. It's not, let me see, hold on. Let me think, it's not like each street is gonna be different depending on what the scenario is. I do remember seeing it says if the street is a certain width, then city staff can make the street no parking dependent on need. If it's greater than a certain width, then the Board of Aldermen would have to make the street no parking. But it would, if it's no parking now, it's not like all streets going east or west are no parking or whatever, something like that. It's just based on what they are today.
So about this gentleman's question here, so every house is gonna have to have at least 1 garage, and if it don't have one, at least you can have 1 garage and 2 parking place spots out in front, right? Even if it didn't have a garage, you still gotta have 2, but they'd all be required, would they be required to build at least 1 garage, a 1-car garage?
No.
No garage at all, as long as you got 2 places to park,
Yeah.
okay, that's it.
Yeah. Okay, so that's for single family. And then for for duplex, you want it to say the same thing. So that would be 2 per dwelling, excluding the garage interior space for duplex. So that would be then 4 outside spots. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily, yeah, more, sorry, I was thinking the garage was gonna count, I was like, oh, but sorry.
And then the same thing for multifamily, it'll say 2 per dwelling unit, exclusive of garage interior space.
But that would be if you had a complex building all inside, you had parking all the way around it, that'd be a whole other scenario than when you want to talk about, this on Blue Springs, like, with Walnut, or not Walnut, anyway, right behind the condos.
But the townhomes like Pine Creek would be applicable to that too.
Right.
Any multifamily, it would still require 2 per unit.
Yeah, I guess no matter who you had, but all the units had, hey,
Basically, we're trying to get away from them counting their garage as a parking spot because they don't use it.
okay,
As a parking spot. And so we want to force them to say, hey, you're gonna have 2 parking spots outside minimum. You can't count your garage as a parking spot.
Okay, so you're gonna have, every house is gonna have two at least.
Yes,
Right, very good.
right, I'm following that right?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
It's the same, exact same as what City of Lexington does. Okay.
The goal is on the street.
Correct. To alleviate street parking. Well, I mean, it can't eliminate it.
But you know, when we were looking at the 1912 school and changing that, and we were talking about the parking, you know, we got parking back here in the back. Well, if I was carrying groceries, I'd park out here in the street and go right to my door,
Right, exactly.
you know,
Yep,
even if there was a place to park. back
that's the one I was just thinking about in my head, actually.
Well, in that case, around buildings like that, the alderman could put a temporary parking of whatever signs up around.
Yeah, it became an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they could put a 30-minute unloading instead of the signs or something, I don't know.
I mean, you'd still allow for street parking, I feel like. Like if you have guests or whatever the scenario is. Another place that we've been having conversations about street parking is, the entrance of the new Hill subdivision, where there's the duplexes, on Lakeview Drive, which it's not a huge problem now, but whenever there's 25 more homes there and everyone's coming in and out of the entrance, if there's people parked on the street, that'll be really snug, so.
Speaking of that, can you replace the parking signs over off of, Ninth and Marlin, or you get Ninth and Marlin? Cause they're very faded.
9th and Marlin. Okay. Now driveway coverage or driveway material. Hot button topic. We do get asked this a lot, honestly.
It's very frequent. People want to put in a gravel driveway, or more recently, the paver bricks. A lot of people don't want to spend the money on concrete, so they're asking if they can, especially to park like campers or their boats. So that comes up quite often.
We just need to lay it out as to how it has to be engineered.
Mhm.
That's the easiest way to do it. You gotta follow these rules
Mhm.
to do it. You gotta have,
Do you guys have the packet that we have? We show what how the other cities word it. And I think we might be able to pull from what they're saying to piece together what we want to say. The first one is ours. Right?
What section do you in?
It's
Mm,
the second page of the spreadsheet. It says materials.
the first column is
Yeah.
materials.
There, oh, that's.
The next page after that.
The next page that says material.
It doesn't have the cities listed.
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Well, no thanks.
It's a second.
Yeah, second to last.
It's like.
Yeah.
Says material driveway
But this
coverage.
is not Odessa's.
So the first one is Odessa.
Yeah.
so we allow asphalt concrete for other approved paving materials.
Right, and that's where it gets a little hairy because it just says other approved paving materials, and then we get into this interpretation issue of what that means. The city has historically said that we will do asphalt or concrete. And we have not been lenient on pretty much that, asphalt or concrete. But there's argument that other approved paving materials, what does that mean? Who approves them?
There you go, blocks in there.
Who's it approved by?
Something to me.
We need to clean it up so we
Yeah.
can stop having this back and forth of what that actually means.
So what's the issue with a, gravel driveway?
I think just the mess of the, you know, if you're getting rocks and dust in the street is probably.
Yeah, there's a little bit,
That's that can be debated because there's the different, and I'm gonna use the wrong word here, but the different type. Cause I have a gravel driveway, I'm in the city of Douglas, but I can grandfather it in.
Right.
But if you go with the smaller one, it's dustier, and if you go with the bigger one, it's not. And so I
Also,
personally,
it matters on if you're getting dust added.
Example, my driveway, I live in a duplex. One side of it, the concrete is falling apart and all that gravel washes right out into the street right there.
No
So
comment.
hopefully it'll fix
Some of our
it.
sewer's not real good in the streets, you're right, they just, they there. From my house, they need it. Need to be redone.
And we also have larger lots where people have outbuildings where they want gravel in the back of their yard.
Yeah.
That's-
Which is,
I guess you just, what are you gonna say?
Room for negotiation there.
Concrete or asphalt?
What'd you say?
Well, what you're saying, if you, the driveway to that, like a mascot, you got concrete driveway, you're all in your way, your place, don't you?
Mine's concrete and
Well,
asphalt.
that's what, okay, but what you're saying, so if somebody put a outbuilding back there, wanting to put a driveway back to it, would that be gravel, or that be asphalt or concrete?
That's what I was asking, cause that comes up quite often too. Do I have to, cause that can get expensive to get concrete on a larger lot, so just.
we're asking you.
Yes, if
That
I
comes
take
up-
concrete.
we're asking you how to change it.
Me and one thing.
Is there a difference
It
between a
depends on whether
driveway?
it's coming in off of an alley or if it's coming off of a main street.
Our alleys are grand, not even well.
Yeah,
Most, I was gonna say, most of my alley is grass.
I can't tell if this is
Yeah.
live streaming or not.
So just from, I'll just use myself as an example. Okay. I wanna make my driveway wider because it's a single car width. Okay. I feel I should be able to put a gravel addition to it to make it wider. Now, my actual entrance is going to stay the asphalt off of the road. I don't want to add gravel out to the road. I simply want to come back and widen to get another parking spot all the way up my driveway, but not have that out on the road. And my thought is that if you engineer it correctly, where you put your geotextile down, put everything down, do your base. This is where it's gotta be, we would have to, we gotta write it out. And explain it, okay, you gotta have X, Y, and Z. Or it's not allowed, same with your papers and stuff like they're laying out here, you know, we already tell them. Well, we don't, but everybody else does, you know, you gotta have 5 inches concrete. Or 6 inches of asphalt, or 3 inches of asphalt with an 8-inch base. So we would need to lay out, hey, you gotta have. A minimum of 1/2 inch clean. Gravel, you gotta have your geotextile down. You know, for that type of scenario, for your papers, you gotta have. You know. 6 inches of base. Tamped. And. Whatever, you know. You gotta have your borders down, a solid border for your pavers. So that, you know, when you're driving in and out, they're not just falling all over the place.
That's what, so it looks like Blue Springs, Green Valley, and Higginsville all have the exact same language that say single family / multi, approved asphalt, concrete or paver brick. And then it says 5 inches of concrete, 6 inches of asphalt, or 3 inches of asphalt with 8 inches of base. They all have it exactly the same.
I mean, I feel like we're just a little bit more rural.
Plus, well, Higginsville's in that list too. And then Oak Grove also has that same language too. I also want to add, ours does elaborate just a little bit more. It says, shall be constructed and maintained with asphalt, concrete, or other approved paving materials. And it says capable of supporting all vehicles used thereon in all weather conditions without emitting dust or mud onto an adjacent street or adjoining property during normal and customary use. It says that in R2. I'm not 100% sure that it says that in every section, but it definitely says that in R2.
It is our, yeah, it's the exact same verbiage.
Okay, so it does say
It's in the.
without
packet.
emitting dust or mud onto the street or adjoining properties. But the problem that we have is that it's only asphalt or concrete, and then it just says approved paving materials. But it's like approved by who? What does that consist of? We get a lot of requests for chip seal. I won't say a lot. We get requests for chip seal. We haven't recently, but we have gotten them.
Recently, it's been gravel and the pavement.
Asphalt,
Hmm.
does chip seal not fall under the asphalt?
We haven't honored that.
And Matt, on your situation, you already have a driveway, when they're talking about, it talks about driveway at least 9 feet wide and 20-foot length. Yours is 100 foot or whatever. You already, so if you built onto the side of that, doesn't look like it'll be a problem because you already have the minimum of what that is. That's already concrete.
No, that's not how that.
That's not how I'm gonna say, because when I went to ask about it before, I was basically just shut down. They were like, oh, yeah, they were like, it don't matter.
No, that's just a minimum size requirement in general. Like you couldn't build a driveway smaller than that.
So like,
Yeah.
just like an example, some of these new build houses that only have the one parking spot in the garage. Where one car could not come in and put gravel inside.
Right.
That's why this is a battle, I'll battle, but I think that like Matt should be able to do that. I think other people should be able to use gravel. The world's expensive enough after the police task force, you know, building materials are expensive. If I'm, you know,
I don't think you devalue your neighbor's homes. I
Well,
mean, it depends on
yeah.
the neighborhood, but if you're in a neighborhood with nicer homes and then somebody pours cement or pours gravel. You're taking away the aesthetics of the neighborhood.
I think you're gonna make a lot of people happy by doing that, but you're also gonna make a lot of people angry by doing that.
but we don't live in an HOA. An HOA can decide that. I'll argue this point until I'm blue in the face. I don't think that we should. You know, I don't necessarily think you're gonna devalue somebody's property personally. I get your point, but I don't think that you're going to.
But with that property, you wouldn't do bad, but if somebody got a garage there, a driveway in there, you got, put a gravel driveway next to it with the value, in his situation, you wouldn't, because he's already got a valid driveway, and got the whole thing, he just don't make it a little wider. But it's like going to the outbuilding. Make, whether somebody wants to make it gravel and not concrete, I guess it's in their backyard or something like that, I guess.
No, I'm not talking about a full driveway, I'm talking about just the addition.
Right, well, what he's doing, I'm saying, yeah, that would work, but I'm just saying, if somebody wanted to put another gravel driveway beside a concrete driveway, that would fine.
What if
That would
we,
be valuable.
what if we limit it to only additions and it can be no bigger than the, what was it, 9 by 20 or whatever? What if we do that?
Say that again.
Like we limit it to only additions to existing driveways, and you can only add a 9 by 20 addition of gravel. Like, so we don't end up with like entire side yards of gravel. I don't know. I'm just trying to find a middle ground. I don't know.
I would say.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to find a middle ground between allowing gravel and not allowing gravel.
I would even be willing to negotiate one additional parking space with gravel.
That's what I mean.
like-
That's what I'm saying.
It sounds to me like we've got new construction. We've got existing construction. And then we've got trailer pads. We call it trailer surfaces that trailers have to be on a driveway.
And not gravel.
Yeah.
Trailers have to be on a paved surface.
They can't be parked in their grass.
The trailers can be on gravel.
No.
Sit on cement.
No. that's
All,
not-
technically, all vehicles have to be registered and on a paved surface.
Gotcha.
RVs, trailers, vehicles,
Something like that.
everything. You can't park your vehicle in grass. This is a tough one. I do think that maybe we should sleep on it.
This is a tough question. Maybe what Matt's talking about, I don't know how you handle that. Something pretty cut dry, yeah, that'd be a tough deal, right there. I don't know how you do that.
I think
Right in the back.
one of the things, your ingress and egress has to be paved. That keeps the gravel, the dirt, the mud from going out. If you come in there and you wanna have a section beside your driveway, that's something else, cause normally that won't be washing away over your concrete or grass.
And that's when it can be 9 foot by 20 foot. What are you talking about there?
9 foot by 20 foot is what our code currently standardizes as a parking spot size dimension.
And I guess if we live in an addition that has restrictions that won't allow that, then that would supersede what the city's talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes,
That's-
HOA,
I
yeah.
guess, yeah. That'd help.
I do think it would be easier for us if we said new construction
Yeah,
and existing construction. Completely different.
yeah.
Yeah, that might make.
Like
more
a-
sense. Yeah, I agree. The new construction has to be a certain way, but these two gentlemen are talking about that maybe cut a slab or something like that. Guess so, yeah.
Okay. Do we want to really briefly talk about commercial parking requirements? So right now, our commercial parking requirements say 1 space per 150 square feet. And, that's requiring like a lot. And so almost all of our new commercial, we don't get a lot of commercial, new commercial buildings very often, and we have been recently. And almost every single one of them is having to go to BZA and get a variance because it's requiring them like to have a massive amount of parking requirements because of how our code is written currently.
Says it goes around there.
So like the gym, I don't remember, do you remember what the gym's requirement was off your top of your head?
It's 20,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things, when people design a commercial building,
Like 100.
whoever's designing it will tell you your capacity, that people that are able to be in there, they require, or they'll suggest so many parking places for that building. If you have 100 occupancy, then you're gonna have so many parking places you need outside of that.
Mhm.
And that might be why other cities, they have a very extensive list of
Different
different types of commercial buildings have different requirements.
what are some examples?
Um,
Do what?
mm,
Oh, okay.
gotcha.
Yeah, based on
So
use.
here's, let's see, Blue Springs. I mean, they have it broken down, adult entertainment, airport, animal care, auditorium, bank, bar, car wash, cemetery, private club, college, construction, sale, correctional facility, I mean, it goes on and on.
Do you
golf
have Oprah's
course.
by chance? Yeah, that's what I wanted. I would like to avoid that.
Yeah, theirs is pretty similar. Adult entertainment, airport, animal care, auditorium, bank, bar, car wash, cemetery, private club. Yeah, it's a long
So.
list.
I don't wanna like cut everybody off, or anything, but it's 8 o'clock, we've been going at it pretty good for 2 hours, we wanna
Yep,
adjourn and.
yep,
I'm not gonna do-
No,
yep.
We could go at this all night.
Yeah, we can.
Right.
Yeah,
Correct.
so we will, pick up this next time. The next regular meeting of the planning commission is scheduled for April 16th, 2026. If there's no further business, I'll take a motion to adjourn
Motion to adjourn.
and second,
Also, that.